What's up, everybody? Couch Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video. And in this video, we're going to be breaking down 7 aiming strategies that you absolutely need to incorporate if you want to climb the ranked ladder, including tips and tricks and big mistakes that you might be making that is preventing you from improving at all. So make sure you watch it to the end, smash the like, subscribe, and go to the GameLeap website right now for the highest quality guides that you will find anywhere. Many of you have been struggling and you just cannot improve no matter how much you grind. Well, you're probably grinding incorrectly and you're making so many mistakes that you don't even know are mistakes. So you gotta go check it out down below so that you can iron all those out and quickly climb to Diamond, Immortal, and beyond. But without further ado, let's go jump into the video. Now moving on to the first mistake or tip that a lot of people are making very consistently, and it's trying to counter strafe after you already see an enemy. Now, of course, when you see an enemy, you want to counter strafe, you want to shoot them, you want to get that first shot accuracy. However, one thing that a lot of people are not incorporating is the pre-counter strafing corners and angles. Something that you should be doing a lot is stopping already, counter strafing prematurely to an angle that you know an enemy could likely be at. The idea here is that you're already going to be first shot accurate the second that the enemy is there. With proper crosshair placement, you're going to be ready to fire before you see the enemy, because a lot of times people will wait until they actually see a target, they'll start to counter strafe, and it will be too late. They're going to get killed, they're not going to be able to shoot the enemy in time, or they'll panic and start firing automatically. So what you need to be doing is every time you're going to be peeking an angle that an enemy could likely be holding, you want to pre-counter strafe that angle. You could even start veering out to the point where you know automatically that you are going to peek that angle with intent, thinking that you're going to counter strafe before you actually do peek that angle. Essentially, you're swinging out with the intent to execute a point A to point B, where you're counter strafing before you stop at point B, ready to fire at a certain angle that you're peeking. Now, if you start incorporating this more and more, not only are you going to be able to kill enemies that are holding angles when normally that would be a very difficult thing for you to do, but your fundamental gunplay is just going to be improved by such a large margin. You're going to see the change immediately, and I would highly suggest this tip. Now, the next thing that you need to start doing in your games a lot of people are not really doing this all that much, is the 4-round burst or the 5-round burst. Now, I know getting taps is cool, but we all know that both the Phantom and the Vandal are not perfectly first shot accurate, and even if they were, there is always a margin for error with you missing your first couple of shots. Now, that being said, if you do not connect with that first headshot, it is still incredibly possible for you to finish off that enemy before they turn on you or they're able to fire back with a easy 4-shot body shot burst. Now, in order to do that, you need to practice your burst control, and a lot of people are not practicing their burst control at all. They're going to the training room, they're running around, they're counter strafing, they're hitting taps on all these spots, but they're not practicing their spray control. Something I would highly suggest is after that initial first shot, don't even look at your crosshair and notice where the bullets are going. You're going to be able to get a feel for this if you start to practice it more and more, especially up against some of the flying bots in the training arena, but you're going to get a feel for this and you're going to be able to control that spray. Once you learn to control that spray, at least the first 4 to 5 bullets, you're going to be able to convert on a lot more kills and be way more confident in you spraying down targets, rather than feeling like if you don't get that first headshot, you have to completely reset your aim, which is not always the best thing for you to do, and you could be getting a ton of these kills. I mean, look at some of the top pros, watch them stream. A lot of them are converting on these spray kills way more than your average person. That's because they're putting time and effort into practicing how to spray control and get those 4 to 5 round bursts off. Now, the next thing that you need to understand is you have to move after a failed burst. This is a big mistake that a lot of people are making, where they start to either get a headshot or a burst and they whiff, right? And they want to reset their aim. They start to shoot at an enemy that is not looking at them. So instead of moving and counter strafing, they stand still, they wait until their aim and accuracy is back to normal, and then they want to finish off an enemy. One of the big problems with this is in that time frame, an enemy is going to be able to turn on you and very easy actually line up that headshot with you, especially if you're crouching or standing still. It's going to be a very easy kill for that enemy. This means that every single time you mess up a certain spray or a certain burst or a certain tap, you need to be either moving to the right, moving to the left, counter strafing while your aim resets. The reason that you do this is it makes it way harder for the enemy to actually get a kill back on you after you missed your initial burst. And I know it might be like, hey, if I just stand still, get my first shot accuracy back or my close to it, and I just do that last bit of damage to the enemy, I'll win the duel. duel, but you gotta understand that it's really, really easy for them to get that tap on you if you do not reposition, if you aren't moving, if you're standing still. Very easy, and a lot of you are dying in this exact situation where you're trying to reset your aim without being mobile. Now, the next thing that we need to talk about is about first shot accuracy. Now, of course, when you are standing up, the Phantom and the Vandal don't have true first shot accuracy. You could technically miss a shot that you have perfectly on the enemy head. While it's a very small percentage, it can definitely still happen. However, if you are aiming down the sight and crouching, you do have that true first shot accuracy. Now, aiming down the sight and crouching, that true first shot accuracy might not be that worth it because you're putting a lot of stock into hitting that one shot. However, there are certain characters that you can abuse this on if you have the aim to back it up. Specifically, characters like Reyna and Jett that can get that first kill and easily run away. Having that first shot accuracy and being able to challenge people from really far lines of sight can be very powerful to get that kill and dismiss away, or get that kill and dash away. Challenging places like C-Long on Haven or Window, or really long sightlines on Ascent, this is something that you could definitely practice, but remember, this is a very all-in notion, and a lot of the time, you're gonna need to relocate right afterwards. Reyna is a little bit more all-in because of the fact that if you don't get the kill, you don't get the mobility, but at least Jett lets you get off some of those taps before you reposition. But it is a very aim intensive thing to do, but it's something that a lot of high level pro players or Immortal players abuse a lot, specifically on these characters, and the fact that you get that true first shot accuracy. And the next thing that we need to talk about is wall banging. Something that you need to be doing way more consistently than you are right now is trying to get kills through wall bang. You can clear tons of different angles and get tons of free kills by wall banging consistently. However, a lot of people are not doing this very easily, or they're making this a little bit too hard on themselves. The best thing that you could actually be doing is pinging the spot that you want to wall bang, and then alter your aim or your crosshair placement to reflect what an enemy would be if they are standing in that corner. So you need to try to be aiming head level because that's going to burst them the most, and you still want to be going for those 4 to 5 round bursts about head level, head to neck level. Make sure that you are trying to finish off this target. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people when watching their VODs, they actually do wallbang a target, they do spray a corner, and they do get damage on a target, but they don't do enough to kill that person. And then out of nowhere, they end up dying to that corner that they think is just clear because they didn't actually burst enough. They might have gotten one bullet about body level, and then the rest of the spray is just out of nowhere, or they only sprayed like 2 or 3 bullets, and it's not enough to actually confirm that kill. So make sure that you're bursting, you're spraying, you're analyzing where the head height would be, and you're making sure that you're trying to get that full kill on that target and actually finish them off. Now, the next tip that we need to give you is how to take a duel and how it should change based on an enemy's HP. So if the enemy has high or full HP, it's all about those fundamentals, right? You're trying to get that headshot, you're trying to counter strafe, you're trying to line up that perfect shot, and you're trying to win the duel by getting the headshot on the enemy before they can fire at you, before they're ready, or they miss and you hit your headshot. Now, that being said, things are going to change quite a bit if they are on low HP. If you are on full HP and the enemy's on low HP, you need to understand that if you are playing perfectly in those fundamentals, there is also a chance for them to turn the tables on you if they have a weapon that can one-shot you. As long as you're counter-strafing, they're taking their perfect duels where you are perfectly counter-strafing and seeing each other at the same time, they hit the headshot, you're gonna lose the duel. However, if you can make yourself more difficult to hit, not as accurate, not as consistent, not as much fundamentals, but more difficult to hit while still trading damage, you're gonna be able to finish them off. A perfect example of this is using your mobility, being a little bit more fast and loose, being a lot more flexible with your mobility rather than with your fundamentals, because as long as you trade damage onto the enemy, you're gonna win the duel while making yourself as hard to hit as possible so that they're gonna have a hard time hitting that headshot onto you. Now, moving on to the last thing that we need to talk about, this is probably the #1 mistake I see from everyone trying to climb in Valorant, and that is binding way too much BS onto your damn mouse. I've told people time and time again that a light mouse is good, a mouse with very few buttons, because you don't really need any buttons bound on your actual mouse, very few if any at all, and you want to make sure that the least amount of things are affecting your aim. You got to understand that the more buttons you are pressing on your mouse while you're aiming and doing other things, the more it's going to affect your aim. So having something like push to talk on your mouse is an absolutely terrible idea. Imagine trying to duel people while talking to your team at the same time. You're going to have to pick and choose, or you're going to actually inversely mess up your aim because you're tensing part of your hand while you're trying to aim at targets. I would highly suggest trying to remove as much as possible from your mouse. Make sure that your mouse is purely for aiming and instead bind most of that onto your actual keyboard. Now that being said, if you have any big questions about any of these that I gave you, definitely let me know in the comments down below. But for more in-depth advanced aiming tips, we got the GameLeap website down below for high quality step-by-step guides that you will not find anywhere else. This is really going to help you level up your aim just super quickly, so go check it out in the links down below. But thank you so much for coming by. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I don't know who needs to hear this, but just ask her out, man. Come on, what's the worst that could happen? But I love your faces. I'll see you next time.